Hey, jerks, we're almost on time tonight. I'm almost on time. Flying by the seat of my pants. I just said I feel like lately the world has just given me exactly what I can handle. Like, I'm always at my limit, but I can handle it. Today was one of those days. I had a dog that the owner can't drive right now or even walk really without a cane. And so I had to take a sick dog to an emergency room. And I was there for quite a while. And I just barely made it back to the show. And I'm wicked excited to do this show tonight. But I'm also a little loopy, worried about the dog. His name's Fergus. So if you see me checking the phone, it could be seeing if I'm getting a message from Fergus's owner tonight. I'll be going to see him later tonight too, hopefully. Um, so, but that's beyond, enough about me, right? I just want to let you know what's going on with me. If I'm a little loopy, I've been a little loopy. I've been overworked. I really have. I made a lot of mistakes in the show. I'm trying not to mute myself tonight, but I want you to really know what's up with me because I'm loving the show. I feel like the last 2 nights were phenomenal. We've been on a run, like even since that turtle boy interview in the last 3 weeks ago. Last night's show with Andrea Burkhart. Oh my God, that was amazing. She was amazing. The night before, I'm still on a high. Tonight, Auntie Deb is with Brian from LTL. I'm really looking forward to that one. We're gonna forward you to that after this show's over tonight. Uh, I'm excited about what's happening on the show, and I'm happy about this guest that we have tonight. And I got to be honest, I haven't talked to her that much. I don't know that much about her, but she's a licensed private investigator, a PI. I mean, how cool is that? Like Magnum PI was like one of the best shows ever. She's I don't know what Loren Katie PI, Bellucci PI. We'll find out. She goes by Loren Katie on I know Twitter X. I think some other accounts. She's got Common Sense Investigator is her YouTube and I think her Instagram. She's got some links. We're gonna post it up in the social media, in the chat tonight. Make sure you subscribe and follow her. But she's a private investigator. She's featured quite a bit on Court TV. I know some of us don't really love court TV, but some people do. But it's definitely, I think, a good thing when they have someone on that's a private investigator on there versus some of the other people we might not like as much. So let's bring her up. This is Loren Katie. She's a private investigator, and she's been talking about Karen Reed. And I just looking at her Twitter tonight, she had a few things to say. She actually reposted Betero, number one. I mean, that gives her like credibility right there. Court TV person, a guest, regular guest, panelist. She's reposting Betero. And Betero is out of his shell tonight. He's finally like made some posts about Proctor. Remember how many times he went after Proctor on our show? You could tell he had a thing with Proctor. Betero posted up today. We're gonna post that up tonight too. About Michael Proctor. And the guest that we're going to have on, the private investigator, Loren Katie, she reposted it today. So the first thing I want to ask her about, obviously, is this Michael Proctor and his family putting out this press release and Bettero's excellent tweet about it. So let's bring her up. I've talked enough about it. Enough about me tonight. Jeez. Let's get to the guests where I just sit back, mess with my hair, Jimmy, drink coffee, and ask good questions. Let's bring her up. This is what you guys are waiting for. We got the guest here. She's a private investigator, PI. Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone else.
How you doing
How are
tonight?
ya?
What do we call you? Lauren PI? Is that
Just Lauren is fine. Lauren's
I like
good.
the PI. Did you ever
Yeah.
watch Magnum PI growing up like I did?
I didn't, but I was a huge Matlock fan and
Oh,
watched all
man.
of that. Yep, even reruns. Big Matlock fan. So I always kind of liked that avenue of investigating, attorney, all that kind of stuff. So,
Absolutely. There's also Spencer for Hire, which is the Boston one that it was a book. I used to read the books and then they made movies and
okay.
TV shows on. That's a big one
Yes.
too here. Boston
Nancy Drew. Do you remember those
Nancy
books?
Drew. Yeah, yeah.
I was
The
a big
Hardy
Nancy
Boys.
Drew. Yeah,
I
the
was
Hardy
more
Boys.
Hardy Boys, the books. Yeah, they
Yes.
even had like the hardcover ones and then the Soft cover. Oh yeah.
Classics. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you are a private investigator. That is so wild. I
I
just
I
I
am.
love the idea of private investigations. You used to be more of a journalist reporter. Now I just talk to people. I don't do as much reporting. Don't have time for it. I wish I did. But you're someone who does this professionally, investigating things. And I looked in a little bit into your background. It seems like you do a lot of missing person stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm really passionate about. Just kind of giving a voice for the missing, trying to get some closure. That aspect of it is why I really went into this work. I do the other stuff, but that is something that's near and dear to my heart. So, any kind of those cases, I am, always kind of very intrigued and want to help out if I can. So,
And, tell us about yourself, like how you became a private investigator. That you're, I imagine, I'm pretty sure you're licensed, right?
I am licensed in Georgia, yes. My neighbor and his wife are actually private investigators. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I've always had interest in that. And they kind of were like, you should just do it. And I was like, well, I'm working full time. So I ended up going to the academy just on the weekends. And it
What
took
academy?
oh gosh, don't ask me that. It's in Norcross, Georgia.
Hmm.
It's like private investigating and security. So I got my security so I could technically be a security guard as well. I don't do that aspect of the licensing board, but I have that as well. So I did that on the weekends. They have, a program where you can do it part-time. And I want to say I finished in about like 4 months or so. And then I took the state exam and got my license, and yeah, so that was a new journey for me, one of which is really rewarding. So I kind of help out locally if I can, and I'm back and forth between Georgia and Florida. So yeah, I love it. It's great.
I took some exams when I was a financial advisor, quite a few of them actually, and I love the, testing and the prepping for them,
Do
and
you?
just knowing what questions they're gonna ask and, realizing what they want you to know about. What was the content like in those exams? What kinda questions and knowledge did you have to kinda absorb, and
Yeah,
what's it
so
about?
because it was the private investigating and security, a lot of them had to do with certain security of maybe local big buildings and what you should do first on the security aspect, private detail, and then of course the investigating part. Like, one of the things they drill home is we are fact finders. We're not like, hey, we go on a hunch. We have to follow the evidence, follow the laws, all of that kind of stuff. So it was all over the place. And honestly, like, there was some about, the mechanics of surveillance videos, things like that, that aspect of surveillance. And in even this case, I don't know a whole lot about. That was not my forte. So, but yeah, it was all over the place. It was I guess they just kind of mix them up so nobody gets the same test. Um and yeah, so
I'm going through the, laptop hell right now. Now it's trying to,
oh
just
no.
try to restart again in 4 minutes. I'm like, "How do I stop that?"
Oh
Mm.
no.
This new laptop is driving me nuts. It's like it can't get updated enough. I keep updating it. It keeps asking me to update it again. Like,
You're on top of things though, and it looks great. So,
it does. Hopefully, if you lose me, that's why. It's
okay.
refreshing, updating. I just have you continue and talk about, Karen Reed, number 1. But, even getting to the licensing stuff, I just, what kind of because we're talking about training, and especially with the Karen Reed, like the investigation of it. I think it's interesting to see what kind of training you got to be a private investigator, because I think it's similar to what detectives do on the police side, and what there's a regulatory aspect to it, and a training and programming. So I'm wondering, like, how much time did you spend? Did you do like a prep program for it? Did you study for it, or did you just take the
Lots of
exam and
studying.
lots of study? How many
Lots of
hours did
studying.
you spend?
Oh my gosh, it's a ton. So the we were able to basically, you do your own stuff. They give you like things and outlines of what you need to do, and then you have to research everything. So you have to come back with the laws, and we have a huge binder. Every student in that academy had their own binder with all of their work that they did during the whole program. And then basically it could be about anything. Anything in that binder would be on the test. So you had to kind of know like a range of things. We did have, like certain um, videos, and then we had little tests afterwards about evidence collection, but nothing in detail, nothing as far as like the police would do. But we did have to know certain knowledge about that as well.
I think you probably had more. It's funny because the police, as far as I know, don't have to get exam licensed. If people don't understand that, it's not just being in a school or being in a program and getting licensed. You actually have to pass the test at the end, and the
Yeah,
tests can be hard. Like a lot of people will fail them. Actually, not everybody, but I saw a number of people fail it when I was a financial advisor. Um,
sure.
so I mean, that's what I think is missing in the police. Actually, they should raise the stakes on testing and training because yeah, we find out in Massachusetts there's been a lot of fraud in the training.
Okay.
There's no test behind it, so I think in a way you actually probably have more experience on this stuff than some of the law enforcement folks in Massachusetts, unfortunately, who get paid these huge salaries.
They do get
Crazy.
paid really good. But thank you. You're
Yeah,
very kind.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think too, like it depends on the actual police department. Like, what are their protocols? Like, are
exactly.
they somebody that actually puts them through training, like secondhand, or like what do they do? Because some of these people don't have a clue, obviously, what they're doing. So yeah,
That,
it's crazy.
that's it. I'm checking my computer trying to make sure it won't shut down. This is hilarious. I've been dealing with this for like a week now. Um, so anyways, beyond the training stuff, you posted this that we brought up that I brought up already tonight, from Better Law. And I'm just gonna read this and then have you comment on it. And PR 101. The statement had to be from Michael Proctor directly, and he had to express sincere contrition. He had to address specifics. Instead, it was foolishly styled as his revenge was biter in tone, and he hid behind the two family members involved in proposed bribes, gifts, or whatever you want to call it. Gratuitous shots at defendant and lawyers, which is a pattern and part of the underlying problem. There was no way this was managed by a professional PR outfit, just an absolute fiasco. And
Yep.
that's about
I
the
mean,
Michael Proctor and his family statement that came out today. What did you think about that
I
statement?
thought it was ridiculous. I mean, whoever told them that that was a good idea, it was not. Like they completely misled them. Nobody, no attorney. I mean, that's ridiculous. The whole statement was also ridiculous on a level that they're wanting to make this all about text messages that were obviously horrible. But that's one little layer of his misconduct and his unprofessionalism throughout this whole investigation. So, I mean, they're wanting to push that narrative. Oh, it's just text messages, personal phone. So it's ridiculous, and the revenge thing, like again, why these people think they need to speak? Like, go find a rock and hide under it. Like, I just don't. I don't get it. There's
I
a reason that Michael Proctor has not been seen out a whole lot because he's staying low key. But then here they go. It's ridiculous. That statement was crazy.
who they had it put it out too. They had this crazy, like really fringe Rhode Island talk show host who couldn't make it to Boston even. He had to go to Rhode Island. He's
Oh
really
wow.
fringe. The guy they put it out, the talk radio guy from Rhode Island that put out the statement, he one of the funniest things is his wife got into trouble for Arbitron or one of those ratings books fraud for
Okay.
her husband's radio show
Oh wow. Okay.
and some
Well,
other stuff.
not shocking that these two linked then, I guess.
Yeah, like they not the best people. Not the
Yeah.
best people. Like it's so like crazy the whole thing about it. And then they think they could just put this out and it will like somehow it's funny too, like right after like the prosecution asked for a gag order and the judge gave a gag order.
Yeah.
Here's your lead investigator and his family putting out this crazy statement that breaks the gag order. I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many elements to this that are tone deaf.
Oh, I mean, I just don't know who they're trying to appeal to here. Like, I don't know anyone who thinks his behavior was okay throughout the entire trial, except those few little trolls on Twitter. But like, no one else thinks that anything he did was okay. So yeah, I just do not get the logic behind it. I don't know if Brennan told them, Krowski, I don't know whose idea it was, but it will come back and it's gonna bite them.
Yeah, right? I mean, the last thing they want is the name Proctor to be in print anywhere. Like, the
Right.
more he speaks, the more he talks, I wouldn't be talking about him tonight as much if he hadn't put out that statement. Like,
Exactly.
so everybody's like that. Like, it just gives it more life. And like, I can't believe this far down the line with all the shit that they've done, especially Proctor and his wife, that they haven't learned that, like, just go away. Like you said, just consider yourself in the FBI relocation program. Like, find a new
Correct.
name, like, change your name legally, like, move to a new
Yeah.
state, become a shoe salesman. I don't know. Do something else. It's
And it was so contradictory, like, oh, he's so, the best investigator, never had any kind of misconduct, yet he's sitting in a disciplinary hearing for 3 days. I'm sorry,
yeah,
what? Like that?
yeah,
No, just stop. Please. Just you're embarrassing yourself.
yeah. Yeah, never had any issues until he went bad that one time.
Yeah. Yeah. It went really bad that one time.
Yeah, it's like it's funny.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
it's
wild.
laughable. Yeah.
It is
Absolutely
laughable.
laughable.
Someone said he can sell you. Darcy wants him to sell used cars. That'd be
There you
perfect.
go. There you go.
Sell some cars.
He can
He,
alter some things. He knows a
he
lot about taillights.
he does. You know how strong they are.
Yep.
They break. They break easily, actually, those taillights, but bone doesn't break. There's no. So let me ask you this, because you're an
Yes.
investigator. You've been talking about Karen Reed. What are your thoughts on the case, like in terms of just from the investigation and the police response and how law enforcement has handled this?
It's a disgrace. I mean, it's a disgrace to any decent cop out there. I didn't know much about going into trial about this case. I think I had seen one pretrial hearing, and seen little clips, maybe of like Turtle Boy on the front steps of the courthouse. Um, so I knew that there was an outrage. I didn't really know a ton about the case, and I wanted to go into trial kind of with that mindset of just I just want to make my own, opinion of
Yeah.
it. And I watched every day, gavel to gavel, and I just kept waiting for the prosecution to make their case. And they didn't. They were defending, these people.
Alberts,
That's
yeah.
all they were doing. Um, and I found Judge Bev very biased, even in that trial. I love trials. I love justice. I love anything like that. And so I watch a lot of them. That's usually what I'm doing on a Friday night is watching Dateline. Like that's just, I enjoy that. So, to see a judge that over to one side was concerning, and it also goes to kind of push the narrative that there's a cover up because of how biased she is. And I know you mentioned I was on court TV a lot. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wanted to speak out, because Nan has definitely inspired me. She's amazing. um, I know there are a lot of people on court TV that have their opinions of the case, but not everybody on there feels that way. I very much feel Karen Reed was set up. I very much feel Karen Reed should have been acquitted. And this should have never gone to trial. And there are other people on there as well, too, that believe that too. So, I think everybody has to, if they have a platform, speak it, because this is such a case that it goes beyond Karen Reed, obviously. And if I was a Massachusetts resident, I would be terrified. I can't imagine how you guys feel up there. And they have completely destroyed trust and credibility for any law enforcement anywhere in Massachusetts. So, and then not only in Massachusetts, other places, because people are seeing this and then they're questioning, cops in their area. And why wouldn't they at this point? And then it just keeps getting worse. More and more evidence that was never presented to them, that they never saw. And quite frankly, it looks like it's altered. So it's a mess. It makes me angry. Simple things that they could have done that you don't need training for. You don't need to be some kind of investigator to figure out that you need to take pictures of things. How are
Exactly.
you, it's ridiculous. And that has nothing to do with the snow falling, that, by the way, you guys get a lot of. So they should have been prepared. It's not a rarity there. Um, they could have put up crime scene tape. There are fixed things like trees, mailboxes, railings on the house. There's tons of stuff that, yeah, okay, it was windy, tie it tight. I mean, it's just common sense stuff. They just didn't do, for whatever reason. They didn't do them, and it's lazy, and it's ridiculous. And I'm quite frankly mad about it. The more things I see come up, all these motions, little nuggets that we get, it makes me angry, because it's a woman's life. And that's not how we operate here in this country. So yeah, it makes me mad.
It's as being a Massachusetts resident, it is a little scary, but at the same time, it's kind of comforting knowing that there's so many people out there. Like, especially with the shows that we know how many people are behind us. Like,
Yes.
back in the day, this has been even before Karen Reed. I've noticed a lot of kind of issues with the police and the way that they act around here and the way that they're treated and get away with things. Really, is the corruption. And I
Yes.
feel like now so many more people are onto it, which is that's what I think is awesome, because I think that people who are kinda into the, corruption game are worried. I think they're worried. I think that they know that people are watching them now. Um,
Yes.
and, there's a select board election happening in
Mhm.
Kent right now, and one of the candidates is a lifelong select board member. He's currently the chairman of the select board. He's
Okay.
called people effing random citizens when they showed up to question about the Karen Reed, John O'Keefe case. He's just not been very nice in a lot of respects. And
Oh.
in the debate basically that happened the other night, he was saying um, that social media, it's the social media that's the problem here in Canton, and not the way that their police chief and their select board has acted about everything, and their police department, the way they handled the case is not. No, they didn't have any fault. It's social media's fault. What do you think about someone who's elected to serve as a select board member saying things like that?
First of all, that's ridiculous. If you weren't doing injustices, they wouldn't have anything to talk about on social media. So that's completely ridiculous. I also have it. That's the problem with people who are elected. Like, if they stay for so long, you only get to see them for a little bit. And then if you see their longevity of them corrupt, or, their views, then what do you do? So I'm very happy to hear, I've, heard from watching your show, that there's a new one that is coming up for grabs. And I surely hope that that person gets elected, because it's
Susan
time to clear.
Harrington. Yeah,
Yes, yes. It's time to clear that out. You got to go. Like, these people are not living in the reality, and they're used to, sounds like, obviously, that people, they're used to being protected by law enforcement, judges, things like that. So they're not concerned with what they're doing or saying to people. And that's not how a public system works. They're an entity for the people. And so that's highly, highly problematic. And yeah, it's awful. It's time for them to go.
definitely. I'm hoping that happens.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
yeah.
And Mike, that's why I love, talking to you. And I was so grateful that you wanted to have me on, because, like, if it wasn't for people like you wouldn't feel so, like, you have, people have your back, and you're getting the message out there to for Massachusetts itself and just around the world. So you credit yourself for that message getting out there.
I think it's about the viewers too. I think that if they
Yes,
aren't here, it doesn't matter as much. It's that's the reality of it. So
very true.
just
Very
thankful
true.
they're here watching. Thank
Yes.
you all. I hope you all got your stickers too. I mailed out tons of stickers, even some more today, and I got a few more I got to mail out. But we've been doing fundraising for Karen Reed and Turtle Boy. with the young jelly. Some people have seen that one. I want to thank all the moderators because they helped us design two of these, Stephanie and another dude who helped us with the young jelly one. And just wicked excited that we raised so much money the other night for Karen Reed and Turtle Boy. That was a great night. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to ask you a few more questions about even the trial for Karen Reed.
Yeah.
You're a private detective. What types of like how do you think the defense could use private detectives? Like I imagine they do because I know like even with Turtle Boy too. I would ask you in both cases if you're a private detective and you're hired by either the Turtle Boy defense or the Karen Reed defense, what things would you be able to do to help out those defense cases?
Yeah, so I was on Brian's show, LTL on Monday, and he asked me that same thing.
Yeah.
For the Karen Reed case, I think the private investigating aspect would have been golden back in the beginning. It becomes maybe a little less, I don't know. You're not going to find as much now, given the time and given the fact of these people and the caliber of people they know they got to get rid of stuff, as you saw with Higgins and, cracking the SIM card, that kind of stuff. Um, but they can still follow leads. People talk, right? So like that's the thing. There's a lot of people that know things, and even if they know like a minute something, they're going to talk. So things are being said, and so I'm assuming that her investigator is following leads a lot for things that they've heard, and following up to see if those are credible. Um, my whole thing with Karen Reed, I would focus on Colin because he's not super sharp, and young people talk more than adults do, and they don't have the knowledge that adults do. So is there anyone he's not friends with anymore? Is there anyone that he's not close to, that he pissed off, that he got in a fight with, that kind of stuff? And I'd want to talk to them or start hanging out places that they hang out. um Now Turtle Boy, I think, could definitely do a lot more, with the private investigator, because the people, that are tied into his case are not bright as well. So I think there's a lot of aspects that they can explore, with people like Kate Peters and such. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they were able to pick up nuggets, here and there, especially early on in the investigation, and are still doing so. But that's another thing, that his case really makes me angry as well, how they're doing him. So yeah, I think there's a definite need for them to investigate on their own as well.
When you said that name, Kate Peter, it almost sounded like Kate Peter. It's funny. It was like I don't know if you meant that, but it almost sounded like an imitation of her when you said it.
Oh no. Oh
But
gosh.
I'm thinking about Kate Peter because she apparently worked. I don't know if this is true. There's a few people posting actually about this, saying that she was working for a private investigator.
Oh.
Um, what do you think about that? Do you think that she could have been a private investigator in Massachusetts? Do you think she would make the cut?
Listen, I don't know about Massachusetts. Maybe so, because y'all's
Right?
laws and all of that. Who knows?
We might
Um,
not even license them. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
yeah, it's true. But no, like, you have to go through a background check. You have to go through a lot of things. You can't just get your license because you want to. Is she working as like a secretary? Like, I have no clue, but she talks too much to be a private investigator or to do anything that that is involved with private investigating. So I would not suggest it.
oh man. She's
Uh,
funny. She's a funny one. She came after me saying I was gonna be charged like all this crap about witness intimidation that I didn't do any of the stuff she said. I'm even part of the better roll letters about it with her
oh my
friend there.
gosh.
And it's funny because she's actually up on the charges now. What
Right,
is
of
it
course.
like
Yeah.
they always
Shocking.
project. She said
Yes,
I edited video and all this other crap. It's like that's stuff she does. I don't
exactly.
I've never manufactured anything. I'm a like my background is getting people on the record, trying to get them, even when they talk in the background, it's like ultimately that's what you want. You want them to come on the show or do it in writing. It's like or give you something, even if it's off the record, that you can use on the record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like it's not about fabricating. Just
Yeah.
the opposite of what she does.
And I see that a
Um,
lot with the projection of people. A lot of times what they're accusing others of doing is actually what they're doing. So she's doing the same thing. Exactly.
it's funny. It's funny.
You
So
have
you
to laugh,
comment.
right?
Yes, you do have to laugh. I mean, I don't want to laugh at her because I feel like I still have some compassion, even though I probably shouldn't. But common sense investigator. Uh, you have a YouTube. What's on your YouTube right now? Like, what kind of
It's a
content do people do that?
very baby account right now. It has a lot of my appearances on court TV. But if it grows, I would love to do more content. Oh, interesting, Kyle. That's amazing. Definitely not Magnum PI. um, so yeah, I mean, I want to put out obviously what's going on. So my stuff will have a lot to do with private investigating as far as like looking for missing people, and obviously I want to follow this Karen Reed case into the new trial because I think it's going to be I can't even, I don't know. It's such a sham that they're even trying her again. That's a whole nother aspect of it. But it needs to be out there. More people need to know about it. So putting it out there, even if a little group of people see, is important. And I've started wearing my Karen Reed stuff around town. A lot of people down here don't know about it. So just little things like that I think we can all do, and that we all do probably already. um but yes, that'll be the content on my YouTube is more, the missing persons cases, this case, probably some Delphi stuff, which I also feel very strongly about. Yeah, things like that. But yeah, it's definitely more true crime stuff.
Now, with the Karen Reed case that we were talking about, what do you think for expert witnesses, especially in terms of like breaking down the investigation for the defense? What type of experts do you think that they might be bringing to the table that we don't know about yet?
I've heard there's some good ones. I think that there needs to be something with the actual protocol on how to investigate a crime scene, chain of custody, all of those things. It's outrageous that any of this evidence really is coming into the trial due to lack of, the custody, where they weren't placed in bags. They were in Proctor's, possession for how long, where, we don't know. But yeah, here they are. That doesn't fly in other trials. Like it's maddening. So I think they need to have someone, I don't even know who they would call, but someone with maybe a ton of years behind them that ran, something, just to talk about protocol and how many things they did wrong in this investigation, because obviously the other jury didn't get that, because that alone is reasonable doubt for the first trial. They could have said no just because of Proctor and the way
Absolutely.
that so that needs to definitely, hopefully in some way, be addressed and kind of brought home. um and then I would love to see someone from Apple or something with the Google search, because that whole thing, in in America, Celebrite is known as top standard. It's, whatever they're bringing to trial is usually Celebrite. So why is this particular entry, we can't trust Celebrite now? No, that's not, I don't believe in coincidences. This case has a million. And so I would love to see an Apple expert, or, whatever, um, someone, that could hammer hone again. Yes, yes, you have yours, but this is clearly the standard for every forensic, extraction in all the courts in America, and it is reliable. It did happen at this time. So I would love to see that. And I honestly can't wait for the trial, but I also think it's going to be so from the Commonwealth side, it's gonna be maddening, to be honest. I think we're all gonna be real pissed off every day.
I know, right? I'm already preparing myself. I'm like
Yeah.
ramping up again. Like I'm getting. It's funny because I know how crazy it's gonna get and how mad
Yes.
we're all gonna get, especially with Hank
Yes.
Brennan. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the because we're talking about witnesses. A lot of alcohol, drinking and
Mhm.
driving has become a
Mhm.
big thing with the juror interviews and just feeling like that was the thing that they were hung up on. The
Yeah.
Karen, the drinking, was she drunk? A lot of the witnesses, seems like all the witnesses basically said she wasn't drunk, but this, I don't know, I forget what you call it, whatever they call it when they drew the blood. They drew the blood. They have a word for
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
and they came up with this. Are there any witnesses that you think that can kinda dispel that? And even just the amount of drinks too. We had a lawyer on, recently. They broke down, uh, I think it was Bukaki or was it Proctor? I forget, or Tully, whatever one it was that did the drinks on Karen at the waterfall.
Yeah.
Um, and it seems like it's really shady how they, enter their testimony, their affidavits, and to challenge that more. Do you think of any experts that could kinda do that? Have you seen that with, like, OUIs and things like that?
Yeah, I have. But I also think there's an angle that they can take on this as well with her medical condition, right? Like Proctor put that out for everyone. She's got Crohn. She's got a lot of things going on. I don't think she could physically have nine like
Right.
alcohol-based drinks with
And
her
no one
condition.
noticed, and no one no, because everyone said she just seemed fine. If she
Yeah.
had 9 drinks, they would notice. I've been around her.
Yep.
She is petite. You can tell she's very skinny.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't think her body and her system with everything that she's got going on, bless her heart, that she could have even had that amount of alcohol and it not had a horrific effect on her. So I think, hey, someone that specializes in what she has to talk about what alcohol does, would it, be something that someone who has this and has had this and has managed it would be drinking this amount of alcohol. I think, listen, they've opened the door to all kinds of stuff. And the thing is that Karen is generous. We have testimony that she paid for dinners in Aruba. She was buying drinks for people that night. Just because she bought them doesn't mean she, ingested them. And the thing is that, sparkly water, all of that stuff, they come in the tall, slender glasses that could technically look like any clear alcohol. Everyone, even prosecution, Commonwealth experts said she didn't act drunk. So yeah, they need to hammer that home again. Because even their own witnesses collaborated that Karen, yeah, she was maybe a little tipsy, but she was not extremely drunk. And I also think that that needs to be a question in voir dire, for potential jurors, because I do think this case will be won or lost in jury selection. So if, have you, ever had any kind of friends that have been involved in a drunk driving accident? Have you ever been, that kind of thing? Because I think it's important, because if they don't, if they don't buy that and they think she was drunk as a skunk, which again doesn't make sense for so many reasons, um, that's, kind of how the other jury went, and we don't want that again.
Really not.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9
And
drinks. That's crazy.
that's a lot for, for anyone, but like for, like you said, someone a Karen size and all that, it just didn't happen. And also this part of it makes me laugh too, because remember, they, according to them, the Jeep was parked behind Karen's vehicle and by the mailbox. So you mean to tell me that she went 24 miles an hour in reverse with inclement weather, but yet she was such a good driver that she managed to stop, hit John, and not hit the Jeep? And she was drunk as a skunk. I did, like, come on. You can't have it both ways. You just can't.
Right?
Um, so again, that, things like that. So like pointing that out to the jury, like that doesn't make sense with someone who is drunk. That's not logical. That's not common sense. Don't leave your common sense at the door. You take it back to the jury room with you. Things like that need to be hammered home more. And again, pisses me off because Bev, she tends to cut off defense um when they're cross-examining them. They're like, okay, one more question, like, no, if they need to talk about things and question them, you don't get to say you didn't do that with the Commonwealth. Let them question witnesses. This all of this stuff is appealable. I just don't know how she runs her courtroom like that. It is not a cute look. So yeah, but just things like that, any kind of thing that doesn't make sense, with drunk driving like that. So I hope that answers your question. I kind of went on.
It does. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I could see a lot of these. Hopefully that because we're finding out they have so many new witnesses, but we don't know who they're
Okay.
gonna be. So it's gonna be interesting to see who they actually have here for
Do
new
you
for
know
new
if they're
witnesses.
Yes, do you know if the defense is going to release that list? Will that be coming out in motions or
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
usually there's some kinda but I
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we just saw the prosecution list,
Yes.
but it's funny because like, you would think the prosecution has been challenging a lot of the witnesses. You'd think they would challenge a lot of the new ones that we didn't even know about, but I don't know. It's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff we don't see because of the back how much Bev Cadone makes everything go in the back where we don't see what's actually going on.
Yeah, which is a real problem in itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everything's at sidebar. Everything's at
Mhm.
sidebar.
Yeah, the way she runs her courtroom is it's troubling to me on a lot of levels. So
We have a question here about Bev because like I always started
yeah,
off that she was like a and Bettero would moderate me when he was on the show. And I think he started out where I'm kind of starting out is like a classroom teacher who lost control of the classroom. Like she's trying to be very strict. She's yelling at them. She's totally lost control. And then I went to she's biased Bev. And lately
hmm
I've been leaning towards what everyone, a lot of the audience has been saying the whole time that she's corrupt, that she's in on it. What do you think? Like, is there a difference between the even three things I said? Is like, where would you be leaning? What do you think?
yeah, I think there is. I mean, I think most judges have, whether they will admit it or not, um, a little bias towards the prosecution. It just seems to be the case. I don't think that that in itself is anything alarming. Um, but yeah, you can be biased towards them a little bit and maybe give them a little room when you shouldn't, or maybe, give them more room. But this is on a whole nother level, even as of late, with the motions and the rulings and all of that. And I think she has crossed, in my opinion, crossed the threshold of the bias to the corruption. Or, I don't know. I don't know why. If it's because she doesn't like Karen Reed, if it's because she doesn't like Alan Jackson, what she's made very clear. Um, or if it's, her connection that she clearly had with witnesses in this case, and being a small community, and in my opinion she should have recused herself from this, because maybe those things weren't factually accurate, but it sure gave the impression that she had a connection, and you don't want that. You want to avoid anything that can even give the appearance of that. So um I think she's a problem, and it reminds me a lot of Judge Gull in the Delphi case. That was that's another one that was way biased and then corrupt, like very, 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 and that's gonna again come back to bite Judge Gull. That case is gonna be appealed and granted because of all the misconduct that she let happen in that courtroom. So I don't think Karen's going to be, convicted of anything. That's my personal opinion. But if, God forbid, she did, I do think that there's a million reasons why this would come back on appeal because of Bev.
Only like I appeals all day. We
Yeah.
had Attorney Burkhart on last night, and she was talking about
Yes.
some of them, including who we mentioned earlier, Bettero. We mentioned him several times now.
He's awesome.
Yeah, people want to know, is he going to come on the shows? I don't think so. That's I don't think he can. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I didn't think he was going to post like he did today, or was it yesterday that he made that post? I don't know. I haven't heard that he can come on shows. I think if he was going to go on shows, he would let me know.
Well, he's definitely missed from everyone, so
Yeah, I think he misses everybody.
I'm
I think,
sure.
yeah,
He just seems like an awesome dude and wise, so wise. So
he's a good man.
yeah,
We'll
I'm
see what
sure.
happens on it all. Um,
Yes.
we're posted in the chat. We posted. Someone says free better, right? Free better.
Right.
He's already
Yes.
free. The guy's doing everything he's doing. I know he had a little setback with Auntie Bev, but he's doing everything he wants to. Believe me. He's eating he's eating, what is he? Red wine and steak, and goes to the Celtics games like I go to walk dogs. Like he's he's got the best seats there. He goes to every
Legend.
Patriots game, and he lives in New York, So I mean, he does whatever he wants. Takes all his kids.
Good for
Federer
him.
is the best. Yeah, he
Yeah.
deserved it. Um,
Yeah.
I was going to ask you some other questions. I'm lost because I'm talking about Federer. Oh, I know. In the chat, we pinned your Twitter. So if people
Yeah.
want to follow Lauren, we have it pinned in the Twitter right now. Please follow her on X, whatever you call it, X, Twitter. Follow Lauren. We're also going to put her YouTube in a minute up there, and her other links. Common Sense Investigator is
Yes.
the YouTube, and is it Instagram too? Is that the other one I'm supposed to say?
No, TikTok.
TikTok. See, I get them
Yes.
mixed up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
TikTok and YouTube, which is
Yeah.
Common Sense Investigator. Awesome. Yeah, TikTok and Instagram are like scary for me. I try them, but I don't know what I'm doing. I think I need to post more pictures, and I never have
Yeah.
time for them. Like, what is that like being on TikTok? Because I know some people are killing it on there, and that's like their thing. And it's a
Yes.
lot of a lot of the women we have on the show. So, like,
Yes.
what do you like TikTok? Is that a good one for you?
I don't love it. Um, but again, I'm not like super techie. I think people who are techie can really just, go off on TikTok and blow it up and do amazing. Um,
I think
I
that's
tend
why
to,
I don't do it. Yeah, because I'm
yeah,
afraid of it.
yeah. I just started like, well, I had a YouTube obviously because I was watching you guys and other people for years, but I just made that and like brought over videos from TikTok from my appearances and things like that. So that's a baby account. But then my Twitter I've had for years, and I've been outspoken on this case and a lot of other cases for years. So I'm definitely more active on that. But yeah, so I don't not a huge TikTok. Maybe I'd get more into it, I guess. But I definitely am active some. So
Awesome. Good, good. It's again, good to test out different platforms to see which ones you like the best, I guess. I never
yes.
thought I'd be on YouTube like this. Like YouTube's by far the number one for me, for our show anyways, but
Yeah.
I never expected YouTube. We used to have more numbers on Facebook. It's weird,
Okay.
but YouTube is, yeah.
It's blown up, I feel like. It really has, like even just in the last couple years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. Definitely. It's getting crazy. Wild. You missing person cases. You've done a bunch of missing persons. Tell us about some of them. Like tips for people if they're looking for a missing person, especially, I think the police or the resources aren't there, the attention. Like, what kind of things can people do? And tell
Yeah.
us about some of the cases. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. So there's one in particular that I helped with. First of all, the county that I live in, there's tons of missing persons. I don't know the amount right now, but it was at that particular time, I think it was last year. So when this happened, there were just so many, and they can't give every single one the real care and love that they need. And unfortunately there is a young man who was missing. He was kind of in and out of the streets, maybe a little drug use, and he went missing, and it was legit. You you do enough of these things, like you can tell, like, okay, do you think this person's actually missing, or do they want to just not be found? But there was a lot of things that confirmed that he something bad happened. Um, and they just wasn't getting traction. It wasn't getting looked at, and the family was very frustrated. I reached out, um, and me and the girlfriend, did some investigating. We kind of made a timeline of everything, which is also very important to start with, I feel like. And then we kind of investigated. There was a couple people that he was in contact with right before he went missing. We were able to talk to them. One of them had, a cast on his hand, like, or not a cast, but an ace bandage on his hand. There's a lot of weird things that, definitely needed to be looked into. So we talked to a lot of people. We went on, looking out basically in the community of places he used to hang out, posting missing persons flyers. And they weren't getting calls back from the investigator, which is frustrating. So I reached out kind of as a liaison just to see. And at first didn't go over so well. She didn't like that I was calling her. I think she thought I was going to be like, you're not doing your job. But I just kind of handled it in a different manner. Like, hey, the family wants to search. Like, we're not trying to take over. We would just like to know what areas have been searched so we're not doubling down on what y'all are already doing. We talked for a bit, and once she realized that I wasn't criticizing what she was doing, and the family just basically wanted places to look that they haven't. And so she's like, okay. And then I was like, we've also, have, I don't know if you've heard from the girlfriend. She said she had to call you, but we have some people that said some really interesting things. And I don't know if you've looked into this name. And so I gave her a couple names, and she's like, I know I haven't. So she's like, can you please just text those to me? I'm like, yeah. She's like, tell me like the things that you guys have found out. Cool. So I texted her the two names that we felt were, persons of interest in the case. um and then she was amazing. She went out on her day off, I want to say maybe a week later, and she actually found him, and the shallow grave that he was in, which, she didn't have to do that. So that was great to see that happening on her day off. And now
How old was he?
he was 20. I believe he's
Wow.
20. Yeah, young man. And then the one of the two people that we gave her the name for has been charged for his murder, and actually murder of another young man here. um so yeah, I mean, people, we don't have the resources that we need as far as that goes, because the time that it takes, the things that you have to look at. Um so if I can help in any way, like, that's just locally in communities that I'm in here, in Georgia, that's, I want to,
Amazing.
that helps me. It fills me with joy just to do that, because
Yeah.
I've
You're
had
you
my
help
voice.
Yeah, you helped that family get closure. They may have never known what happened to him.
Well, and also the girlfriend was amazing. I told her, I was like, you need to be a PI. She was amazing. So I can't say enough good things about her. She did a lot of the work too. She was great, and I hope that, like, she saw, like, hey, you can do something and you can make a difference, because she was amazing. His girlfriend, and I still think about her. It's been maybe like a year and a half, but I hope she's doing well. And yeah, so, like, there's not enough resources. So when a county is bogged down with things like that, and you can even just go out and search, it's so helpful, because there's only so many hours in the day. There was a big case in Florida, Cassie Carley. She was basically abducted when she went to go meet her ex to do a custody exchange. And we knew he took her, like, the family knew it. I met with them, and the FBI had just gotten involved, so there wasn't a ton I could offer them other than, hey, let me just help you search. So we did do that. And we went out on paddle boards and searched like an old like 80s or 90s amusement park that has been, in the woods, and it's all woods now. And then the county really came together for that, and that was really nice to see. The citizens want to come out and help too, so anybody can play a part. Like, you know you don't have to have a license to help, look for people. um yeah, there's laws. but but as long as you're within the laws, like, do what you can, like, it's such a big deal, like, for families not to know where their loved one is. So if that's my thing. If I can bring I've had my voice taken in the past. And so if I can help someone's voice get out there, or someone come home to their family, even if it's not in the manner that I would like it to be, then that's something that I want to help with and I'm passionate about. So,
Amazing. In lemon, I'm gonna say in lemonade, like Turtle Boy does. In lemonade Pickett says, "How does one become a PI? Do you need permission?"
yeah, so each state is different. From my understanding, Georgia and Florida are the two that have the most requirements. Um, and those are the only two that I can speak of because they're the only ones that I know. Georgia, you have to, have a license. So you have to either, I think, you might be able to intern for a certain amount of time and then take the test, or just go to the academy, which is easier. And you have to pass not only the licensing board test, but you have to pass a firearms exam every single year, and then you have to take all of your tests over each year, to stay up to date with your qualifications. And you have to, with that firearms test, you have to be able to make a certain score. So if you fail that, you have to come back and take it until you're able to do that. So you have to kind of stay sharp
Wow,
on shooting, that
that's
kind of
high
stuff.
stakes. That's very high stakes.
Yeah. And I was worried the other year because I hadn't really done a whole lot in the range, and I was extremely worried that I was not going to pass that, but I did okay.
That seems, a little too much. Like, I like licensing because I think it makes, professionals professional, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It increases the value of what you do too,
Yes.
but it seems like a weird one, like because like, private investigation, I think for the most part is researching and finding out sleuthing, you know what I mean? Like, where not everyone needs a gun, I would think, to be a PI.
You
That's
don't.
yeah.
So that was more of the aspect of the security, and if you're going to do detail
Okay.
and private detail and stuff like
Is that like
that.
an extra thing?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
whatever that academy chose to do, they chose to include both of them together. So
I see.
when I went there, I was like, can I just not do that part? Because that doesn't
It gets
interest me.
probably get you more money. That's probably what it
Yeah,
is.
and
They're probably
it
like, "If you
is.
get this is even," because that's the thing with licenses. I think people, like, if you think you should avoid the states with the licenses, those are the states you should actually go for because that's
Yeah.
you'll get more money with more licenses. I always learned that. Like, people are like, "I don't know if I wanna go for this next license." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't you go for it?" You
Yeah, and
know?
they were like, like, no, you can't just take one without the other, but it also gives you something to fall on. If things are slow or whatever and you want to do some security jobs, you have that option too.
Yeah.
But it also covers you because you took that firearm course and you passed with, a certain range score. You are able to carry in certain locations. And if you're
So
someone who is
you
willing.
are like Magnum PI. Like, I wasn't
Not
wrong.
quite.
You're
I'm
like
not that
because
cool.
Magnum had the gun. Yeah, he had the yeah. We're probably gonna get struck on the monetization. I don't know how they are with firearms on YouTube, but it's so funny. You got the license to carry. Wow, very
But it's
impressive.
if you're doing a lot of surveillance, and especially in a really, shady area, it's good to maybe have that in your car. So,
Exactly.
there are
You
certain
never know.
times where, yeah, that
You
the
never
having
know.
that license and that, training comes into play with PIs. But yeah, so to answer your question, the just check your state. You can call the licensing board of whatever state that you're in. They'll tell you, or call a PI office, and they'll be able to tell you. I have, hopefully in the near future going to get licensed in Florida. Um, and I'm also looking into possibly Alabama because our states border and all of that. And I haven't looked into that much. So I don't know what their requirements are, but every single state is a little different. So yeah, that just a couple phone calls and you should be able to know, what's required in it. But it's definitely an interesting field that, you never know what you're going to get when you go to work. So
Have you had, any, like, wild, like, big customers or just like, extraordinary things that you've been hired for? Do you even get to talk about who you work for?
Um, not really. Not unless the case is like over and done with and they signed like a thing. I haven't had anything crazy. But I mean, counties are small and there's certain big name people in the counties that, you would be surprised. So yeah,
You ever get to hit up for political research? Is that ever a thing?
no, I have not had that yet. And that one wouldn't really interest me. Like I'm not a huge politic person. I do very minimum, so that one wouldn't interest me. But I mean, like again, that's why it's great to have like things that interest different people because everyone has a certain niche that they're great at. Like, and I have a mentor, so like if I have questions in something in an area that I'm, not super familiar in, I can, hit her up and get her expertise and suggestions on where I might go. So that's what makes the world great because everyone has their own little things that interest them, and you could focus on that if you wanted to. And so, yeah, it's definitely interesting.
So, like, your niche, I think, is missing persons, but
Yeah,
other is that, like, mostly or all of what you do, or do you do other things too, like
I
other.
do. I do other things as well. I've done a couple stalking cases, a lot of infidelity cases, and looked into some custody cases. Those get a little tricky. Eh, People get crazy, and that is the most dangerous type of law too, is a family attorney, because people lose their minds over children, money, that kind of thing. So I have done a couple, but I am wary of the situation. I try to get as much information before I were to take a case as possible. If it's possible for me to get all the information and then look at it before I even agree to take it. That's what I want to do. Because there are certain stuff like family court drama and stuff like that that can get pretty hairy. But oh, thank you, Camilla. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you wouldn't think that maybe a PI could help with that could help with. So
Oh, I imagine, especially, like you said, the custody cases, I could imagine that there's a lot of family stuff, but I like you said, I just, could imagine that would be the scariest stuff to cover actually to get involved in because that's where most of the violence happens too,
yes,
right? I mean,
yeah,
when someone dies, if it's a murder, the first one they look at is the spouse, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, people don't play when it comes to their children and their family and their money. So, yeah, that one's a serious one.
and I think that's why the media too, I think, focuses on Karen because they're like, it just makes sense. She's the girlfriend. She did it. Like it's usually that way, but it's not always. It's not always that way, especially when you have police officers and power and drinking and who knows what else went on that night. I just,
Yeah.
especially this case, the big thing on this case is the cover up. The cover up tells you everything. The lack of investigation. I mean, we could be here all night talking about solo cops and
Oh God.
like you talked about, they didn't even use police tape or like a tent or just any of the stuff, a kerosene heater. We've had, retired police on here, so many of them talking about all the stuff that they didn't do, like go into the house, even ask to go into
That
the house.
I'm sorry, but no other citizen, if they wake up tomorrow morning and there's a dead man on their lawn, are they not going to have cops come into their home? It's it's outrageous, outrageous. Um, I want to know more about the glass. I don't think they touched on as much of the glass stuff too. I want like what was it, like four different glass particles? Like, where'd that come from? Was it a glass inside their house that they didn't go inside and they didn't check? Yeah, like could have
That's what I
been.
think. I think the glass was from the party. I mean, that's what I would assume immediately if I saw broken glass. That came from the house inside. I mean,
Yeah,
someone, they had a party and someone brought out the glass from the inside. Um, yeah, it's wild. So many things like that.
it really is. It is. And the no bruises, you can't get around that. If you've seen anyone that has been hit by a car, that's why I love hearing from nurses in this case too, because they have seen many, and you're sorry, no matter what kind of injury, you're getting bruises. Like I can hit my like shin on a door very lightly, and I'm getting a bruise. So like for
Yeah.
John to not have bruises is ridiculous. So
Funny too, the professions. I'm glad you brought up that nurses. You brought up so many good points tonight. The nurses thing. It's like I look at like there's three big professions that I see supporting Karen, and a lot of them are retired law enforcement. Number one,
yes,
like we've seen. And what I mean by that is like you look at the amount they'd even call into the show. I got this retired North Carolina highway patrolman who calls in all the time. He's been a guest on the show. We have guys from the FBI, Las Vegas police. We could keep going. So many former law, even former Massachusetts State Police. They're all following it. They're all invested in it.
I love
And then
that.
you yeah, and then you look at it, all these attorneys, especially the criminal attorneys, but a lot of the civil attorneys too. A lot of attorneys have jumped up. There's like maybe one or two on the other side, and they're not on the level of the attorneys that are speaking up for Karen Reed. And then
And
you
they're
have what you
related
said.
to the people.
Yeah, right? And then you have the nurses, like the
Yes.
RNs. It's like it's amazing to see the kind of it's almost like a movement of people from different classes and professions, like, these top criminal defense attorneys with RNs and cops, cops
Yeah.
with the criminal defense guys. Like that never happens, does it? I mean, it's kind of funny. It's just like that's how innocent Karen Reed is. Like it's just
Yes. Yeah. And can we just talk about for a second how people like Coffindoffer go after Bettero and the defense, and how like oh how how can you offend represent this person, you represented this and this and this. It's a job, okay, number one, and number two, that's how our constitution works. And then you see this new case that Turtle Boy has been reporting on of this boss, is it a Boston State trooper?
oh yeah,
Uh
no, Massachusetts,
Mass
Massachusetts State Police, yep,
Okay,
or state
so
trooper. You call him trooper, yep.
yes, and they were so outspoken on how, the defense and Karen being so guilty, and then look who they hired. So
And Eddie,
they hate them until they need them, and then they hire them because they're the best. So it's very ironic. You can hate defense attorneys all you want, but if you were in any kind of trouble, you would know who to call. And there's so many that are really good people too. Just
Federer is, and you know what? You wouldn't call Jennifer Coffindaffer when the FBI supervisor or agent got arrested for RICO or whatever it was, a criminal enterprise with a real felon, a snitch who was lying about like committing murder on federal charges. He hired Bettero, and Bettero won the case for the FBI guy. Like
yes.
the FBI guys know who to hire, and they hire Bettero, and the innocent one, he got off because you know what I mean. Like so it's they don't call Coffindaffer FBI agents. They don't even call her. They call
No.
Bettero.
No, and it's like I said, like secretaries, they have those, in FBI, people who get coffee. I don't know what she did. Like I just, some of the stuff she says is so out there that it's like that there's no way that you did what you said you did and think that. So my opinion, of course. But yeah,
Yeah, she's something else.
yeah, she is. I don't like how she attacks people. I don't like how, like, why do you hate Karen so much? Can you explain that to me?
Right?
Did she do
So
something personally to
personal.
you?
It's so
What?
personal to her. Yeah, you would think that like she stole her boyfriend or something.
Right,
Like
right. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know why are what did she do to you? Because I whatever your opinion is, you're welcome to it. But like, why? Where's the hate from?
Yeah,
Like,
where is it, Jennifer?
ah,
Jennifer Coffindaffer.
why are you hateful? You don't have to be.
She really is too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's hilarious when like, they have certain ones like Betterow, like you said, like Nan Gallagher, who they attack a lot now. They just get so caught up and, like,
It's
Andrea
because
came on last night on my show, and all of a sudden, they're all attacking Andrea. It's just so funny, like, how when people are the leaders, like, the best at what they do, and they speak up on Karen Reed, they all just beehive at them.
yeah,
Just
if what they said didn't make sense, they wouldn't be pissed at them.
yeah.
So you've made it when this.
Yeah. It's the
So
highest praise. It's the
yeah,
highest
it
compliment.
really is. It really
I
is.
posted one up
Sadly.
today on my Twitter. I was like, "Am I gonna copyright strike her because she's defaming me, and she's using my show last night, like, to
Oh
defame me this
no.
morning." Yeah, and I'm like, "Should I copyright strike her?" And then everyone's like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." And then one person's like, "Mike, really?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna. I don't copyright strike anyone." But it's just, it's funny. Like, to me, it's so funny. It's like, I love it now. Like, at first, maybe I didn't know how to handle that stuff. Now I love it. It's just the, like, biggest praise, the biggest
It is.
flattery. It is. Flattery.
It really is. And that's such a good way to look at it. Um, you know, okay, good. They're talking. I must be saying something right, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would get wicked excited if they were talking about me a week later. And, like, the night after a show, a big show, I already know it. I already know he killed it last night. I wanna see you, that lady, whoever she is, I wanna see her doing the same thing a week later. Now
Yeah.
that's when I really know I did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's nuts. Again, common sense. I don't know how you can see this case in that manner. If you do, why is there hate? Like that makes you look like you have ulterior motives to something. So
It's such a good point. 'Cause I see it, and I think a lot of people who are new to supporting Karen Reed, they don't realize what it is behind it. Like, most of the
yeah,
time, obviously, there are some stupid, dupe people, and they have misplaced priorities, but a lot of it is what you just said, like, and it's obvious why they're so angry, some of them.
yep, yep, yep. And yeah, I mean she coffin offer you the emails are the emails. You can't get around them and she hasn't explained them, nor has she explained her trespassing on 34 Bear Fairview and taking photos. So she's got to talk about something else, right? To get the heat off of anybody saying anything about that or thinking anything about that. So
And the emails, for people who don't know, it's, Norfolk County DA. There are emails. I think it was from David Traub. Could be wrong on that, but
I think
there was some
so.
emails about her. She's basically working with the DA's office, like I've been saying forever. Like, all of these people, I think there's more than just her too. There obviously is, because some new emails came out too. But when Morrissey dropped his hostage, what we call the hostage video, uh, some of those emails have come out too. It looks like more is going to be exposed. But you're right. She never, if Jennifer Coffeneffer was like a real journalist or even activist in any way, or like a real victim's right advocate, she would be very transparent
Yep.
about her communications with them. But she's not.
Yep.
She won't even admit it.
And like maybe there's a reason for it. Cool. Tell us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she messaged me. I have never said a word to her. Like I have replied back to a couple people's um replies to hers because it bothers me that she wants to lump everybody into like a certain category just because we feel that Karen is innocent. She wants to lump us into a cult or that we're like all intertwined and doing crazy things with Turtle Boy and all this stuff. Is like, no, you can have nothing to do with Turtle Boy, not even know who he is, and think she's innocent. Like that, stop. Like, stop it. So
Yeah,
I
she's made it
basically,
all about her hate for Turtle Boy too. That's what a
yes,
lot of these people have done. Is they've,
yes,
like, it's not about John O'Keefe. It's not even about Karen Reed in some respects. Sometimes it is, depending on the person. But, and sometimes it's because it's about Karen Reed because of Turtle Boy. They end up hating him. I see
Yes.
her, if you're a real victim rights advocate or, any of those things I said, you wouldn't be making it about you and Turtle Boy, your hate of Turtle Boy. You'd be focusing on John O'Keefe much more
Yeah.
and
Oh
not
yeah.
Turtle Boy. Your beef with Turtle Boy gives it away. Like that's the whole thing with her. She is so phony.
Yeah, and I didn't, at first, like before this case, I followed her because I saw her on like Gabby Petito stuff and whatever, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Like she's a lady who was in the FBI. That's awesome. And then I started seeing her tweets on this, and I was like, why? Why do you have the hatred? Like, if you just thought she was that, okay, you're wrong. She's not guilty, but that's okay to have those opinions. But then I was just like, why the hate? Like that doesn't resonate well with me. Like you said, did she steal your boyfriend? Like, come on now. Like something's up. So yes, and then I started having a different viewpoint and she just wouldn't stop, like just like at Karen. And I'm like, get out of here. You don't know this lady. It's inappropriate.
Yeah. Very inappropriate. The way she handles things too, in a little bubble, how she blocks anything. In Lemonade, Pickett says, "Thanks for an awesome response. When, how do you bill? Seems like it could be awkward. Do people try not to pay ever?" Talking about your PI business.
No, because you get a retainer up front. And then you have them sign the retainer and the contract agreement that this is what you get. Now if I have to travel, if I have to do certain things other than aren't in this retainer agreement, then that will be extra. Um, so I haven't had any bad experience with people not paying. But again, you have to do your research on them. And that's why I try to get as much information on the case before I even say I'll do it. So I am looking into the case even before I've taken the case. So, but
This because
you're very welcome.
yeah, I love this because I think this is good. Even if you're not gonna be a PI, it just in business,
Yes.
like because all the things you're saying remind me of my dog business. We got
Yes.
money up front. Like you try if you're doing business for yourself, try to get paid up front. That's the biggest
Yes.
thing. If you can, you got to try to force payment up front. And
Yep.
like you said, the biggest thing I do when I meet a new customer is learn everything. I want to know everything about your dog and you. And even before I go to the house and meet them, I want to know because if I already have red flags or I'm not going to take I want to
Yep.
know as soon as possible that I'm not doing this. I'm not putting any time in this. I'm done. I'm not doing. I don't
That's
have to
right.
take every piece of business. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Especially now, it's like I shouldn't take any business. I should be getting out of the business, but
Yeah.
it I end up doing it for human emotion reasons. I love these,
Yeah.
some of the stories I do, like today. But it's funny. It's very similar. Work in businesses, you try to get paid up front, know as much as possible about
Yeah.
your
And it's
customer, right?
always, yeah, they're interviewing you, but you're interviewing them. And that's with any
Right.
job. So
And
always
put
be
it in yeah, and I love the other part too, which people miss. Put it in writing. Like
yes.
even with our dog business, we have a menu. We show them exactly what it is we're doing, what how much it costs, and all the and have them fill out paperwork,
Yes.
like get your information back. It's so yeah, it makes sense. PI totally see. What kind I think if he's looking to be a PI or she is, what kind of money do you ask for? Do you do it by like the out do you figure out like when you talk to them how many hours you're gonna work and kind of do that as a retainer, or do you just have a minimum that you do? Like I just wonder how that works in PI business.
Depending what they come to you for, there's usually a minimum retainer for that. And then you get started and then you're going to assess that of what you need and what you will be doing, because some cases it doesn't sound like a lot, but hey, guess what, if this guy is taking his date to like 2 hours down the state, um that involves you tailing them, and that involves a weekend, and that involves you staying somewhere and eating and things like that. And so you do have to kind of reassess, and they know that going in. And but some are very very straightforward. They just want you to to do one thing, and here you go, use a retainer, and that's that. So it really is just case by case. But yeah, it's a lot of networking though, because there aren't like a ton of PIs. Um, and then there is not a ton of female PIs, which kind of gives me a good, a little up on things, because people don't normally suspect a PI being a woman. They're just known for being male. So like when I, was in the academy, that was something that was stressed. Like, hey, there's a big demand for this right now for women, because you can go into a store and be a whole lot, less inconspicuous than a male, in there, depending on what the store is and things like that. So yeah, there's, it's a very interesting profession, and it's always growing. There's always new, little techniques and things like that. But yeah, so
Like retail theft. Do you ever do it? Have you ever done any cases like that? No.
mm-mm. That's not my, like, I would be so bored to death.
No. Waiting for
um
someone to steal something. I know that must
Yeah.
be weird.
But I'm sure someone loves it,
Yeah.
and loves that kind of thing. So they're probably loving their job and loving that part of it. So,
That's such
but
a another you're giving such good business advice. Another like universal for small business people or even
oh,
like
thank you.
people in employment. Like try to go with what you love.
Yes. Yes. If you're passionate about it, you're not going to feel like work every day. I mean, yeah, you're going to have tough days that you maybe are tired and all that kind of stuff, but you're passionate about it, you're motivated, and you get that reward from it because you are passionate about it.
And Mary Malaki, she's a friend of the show. She says, "Do you have any lighthearted case you can share by chance?"
Let's see. Um, most of my stuff isn't very lighthearted.
It sounds like
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most of it is kind of not. I wish I did. I will think on that, and if I think on it, I'll post it for you. How about
awesome.
that?
We put your X up earlier. Your YouTube now is pinned in the chat, so people
Thank
please
you.
follow. She's got a YouTube, an X, and a TikTok. So please
Yes.
follow them all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you for being here tonight.
Thank
And
you
you've
for
done some
having
other
me.
shows. You did LTL.
Yes.
How was that? Was that because he's our boy? We love LTL Media.
Yeah,
How
it
was
was
the show with him?
great. It was great. He's so kind. And so being on his show, like, like yours, like, it just feels like an honor, because you guys are doing so much to get this case out here, and taking your personal time, like you, how many shows have you had this week? Like,
I know too many.
so yeah, so it's just an honor to be on here, and to get my voice out there and what I think. But I think anyone that has anything that can relate to this case, speak out. Like I said, when I saw Nan do that, I was like, yes, I need to do that more. I need to put my voice out there besides Twitter, because I was doing that for, the fast trial. But it's time to, step it up a notch. And I've also tried to be on court TV for their Karen Reed segments, but they are only having
I
Massachusetts
thought.
residents.
Oh, mass residents. Wow.
Yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, and the producer knew, like, she she would be like, I'm trying, but they're just really only wanting mass people. So I'm like, all right. So yeah.
They never call me.
Yeah.
That's funny. If I was they'd have me right on in a second. I
Yeah,
swear to God.
probably so. At least some of the shows, or some of the
Yeah. How
the
Kevin got
people.
on. Kevin got on.
Oh God. Bless his heart, Plevin. I can't.
You know, I don't even like to mention him anymore. I used to love to
No,
do shows against him, but now I'm just like, I don't know. There's so much going on. He's very irrelevant to
he is.
everything now.
He is. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, maybe the tides are turning with this new trial, that, you know, everywhere they're gonna have to be like, oh, okay. And they'll have people other than mass residents on, and take a stronger stance on what is clearly right, and law. This
Yeah.
is, if you
I
follow
hope
the
so.
law.
I hope
She
so.
Yeah,
I hope they feature it more too with the
I do
stronger
too.
people. it drove me crazy too. I was saying about court TV. My criticism for a long time is like, you don't have our bet. Number one, you just basically said no more Turtle Boy. They used to have Turtle Boy on, and then you used to have Melanie Little on. She's not on anymore. So like the strongest voices aren't on. Bettero, he's blowing up my show and everybody's show that he went on. Like he was the biggest star on the Free Karen Reed side. They're not inviting him on. Even when they had him on like one time, they were like trying to put him on with some shady people like Kevin. And he's like, I'm not going on with like crazy people. What are you nuts? Like they just I don't know, they lose credibility by playing to that anti-Karen Reed side a lot, and they would feature some of the shadiest people from Massachusetts. It's like, we don't wanna be represented by that, like,
Yeah,
Nick
and that's
Rocco is awesome.
understandable. Yes, he
Nick
does a good
Rocco's the
job.
only yeah, he's the only one. We love Nick Rocco, but beyond Nick Rocco, like, we're our people, and we're our attorneys, we're our especially Mark Betterow. Like, you had a
Yes.
chance, you could have put on him every night. He is he is a star. Like, he is a star. It's unbelievable that they never brought him on. Melanie Little, same thing.
Yes.
Like, even Andrea Burkott, we had on last night. Those are the people that they should be. It's like,
Yeah.
follow who's got the followers, who's got the
Mhm.
eyeballs, who are people gravitating for, and why? And it's because they're bringing the facts. It's not because, they're the best looking or they look shiny or whatever. It's because they're the best at actually, presenting the info to
Yes.
the people.
Yeah. And I know that they enjoy a good debate, but it's hard to have a good debate if your guests are Plevin and Krowski. So like, I'm not a that's fine, bring on both sides. I love that personally, but like let's mix it up. Like it
Yeah,
can't
and you'd
be the
always be like
same.
2 to 1 too, though. It's like it should be 2 to 1.
Yes.
It should be Melanie Little Betterow versus Joe Krowski. That's what it should be. But
Mhm.
instead, they have Kevin and Krowski versus Nick, and it's like
I
none of
do know
these are
they
really the best.
I do know
Yeah,
they
go ahead.
love Nick. So like
I know
I think
that's
they
fine. I
they
love
love
Nick
they
too.
love Nick.
Nick's close to the family too, and so
Yeah.
Nick delivers a lot. Nick's a
Yes.
big part of the community. He's the biggest fundraiser by far. I talk to Nick a lot. I love Nick Rocco. Nick Rocco
Yeah.
is the friggin' man. He deserves everything he gets. Like
Yes.
he's doing service. Like he is so good.
Yeah. Oh
But I
yeah.
just feel like it shouldn't be 2 to 1 against Nick. It should
No, it
be
shouldn't.
Nick with Melanie Little or Betterow versus Joe Krowski, not Kevin and Joe versus Nick. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And that's why I was like, I want to be on because I feel so freaking bad. I'm like, it's literally one sided. Like we've got to get both of them on there. Like it just isn't. It's not quite equal. And so I hope this trial will, enough will come out that changes a little, where it's gonna be, you know, more free care and read people in there. So that's my
I
hope.
hope so. I hope you're one of them too, because
I
I
I
like
would
idea of
love it.
private detective. Yeah. Yes. And, so you're on what are some of the other cases you talked about? I think you said Delphi is one of them. I saw that you were on Court TV about.
Yeah,
What's going
Delphi
on with that? Because I see a little bits about it. What's your
base.
take on it?
Basically, Judge Cole and Judge Bever are like related. And Judge Cole is like on steroids, like not literally steroids, but like up from even Judge Bev. Like she fired the lawyers for things that she didn't have a right to do. So she literally would not let them give this man a defense, period. um there was so much corruption that was hid, and all the stuff that they couldn't bring in. So like for instance, the sketches, how there was two sketches on that case, never made sense to the public. They never would explain it. Well, the defense's theory is a very smart one, and it was also a lot of investigators' theory when they investigated this. This isn't just like the defense brought it up and like made it, a thing. This was a group of investigators that highly felt that this was um, a ritualistic killing, because there are a lot of these Odinites there in that community. And that was a new thing. Not familiar with that. I had to do a lot of research on it. Um, that's just proven they're there. And so because of the two sketches, it kind of makes sense. If there was more than one person involved, that would make sense, right? But that came up in the public for years, these sketches, and the judge said, nope, can't bring up the sketches. There will be no sketches. Jury will not see sketches. You will not talk of sketches. Nothing. And so that was not able to be brought up. The Odinist theory, even though it very much looked like a ritualistic crime at the crime scene, they were not able to discuss that in the least bit. Um, and there was tons of stuff from another man whose property the kids' bodies were found on, that he made a confession to someone, and he, you know, I get that it's hearsay, but the information in the confession matches the crime and things that only the killer would know. That wasn't even considered. I mean, like, they've hid so much stuff. They still, now the case is not closed. They've made that clear. It's not closed. Okay, well, if Richard Allen is the one who did this and you've got your man, why is the case not closed? That speaks volumes. They haven't released, they had that gag order, and it was a gag order that, like, was no other. You couldn't speak higher hair of it. Um, well, that has been lifted finally, not even after the sentence came down, but they waited until the verdict came down. They waited until his sentencing to lift that gag order on everyone. Then they were able to speak. Well, that's, great, but then they didn't put the information and the evidence that the public was not allowed to see because she wouldn't allow cameras. They've not released any of that evidence, and so there's a video that just got leaked, I think a couple days ago, of the famous clip of, like, guys down the hill. Does not sound like Richard Allen's voice whatsoever. The guy who the girl's body was found on his property looks a lot like Bridge Guy. Um, there's, like, producers on Court TV that have talked to him for years, when they were investigating this stuff. And instead of saying, like, he didn't do it, he said, um, they don't have enough evidence to prove it's me, or they can't prove it's me. Like, just very weird stuff, but they wouldn't let any of that come in. Um, so yeah, it's definitely going to be appealed. I just don't, appeals can take years and all that, but she also wouldn't recuse herself. She was also another one who refused that. Um, and so yeah, I that case is maddening. And it's again, it's not about, like, it's about those girls. Like, we want to put someone behind bars, but, like, it's got to be the right person. And so shame on them, that whole community. And the word on the street is that there's a lot of corruptness just in that town and that area, as well. So it sounds a lot like Canton.
Justice could be very political, it turns out. That's what people
Yes.
are realizing, especially in these little towns and little cities where people have had generations for this kind of, he's a good guy. Let it go.
Yeah.
We're gonna let it go. We like him. He's one of
Yep.
us. He's helped us in the past. Um,
Yep.
Odinism. That
Yeah.
is that a religion? Is that a sect? Is it a cult? What is Odinism basically? Because I've heard
Um
a lot about this, but I don't really know.
So they worship, like, a different god. I know a lot of them wear, like, jewelry that protects them. They also do, like, sacrifices, whether it be on, like, animals. Um, the extreme is a human, but, like, that is things that certain Odinists do. Um, and, like, I did a lot of research on it, just Facebook research, and saw all the people who were mentioned in the defense memorandum when they posted that. Um, and can confirm that it looked like all those people were, appearing to be Odinist and having Odinist meetings with, like, the Odinite patches or whatever, like, and drawings of them in their yard, and all of these characters were all together, I'm assuming for the meetings, on a lot of these people's Facebook pages. So there was evidence to, you know, point to this being a possibility. And the judge wouldn't allow it in. And it wasn't like the defense just made it up. Investigators, the evidence took them there. But it was only a certain few investigators. The rest of them were like, absolutely not. We're not going to consider it. So there was a divide in the actual investigation.
It's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if it was because of the pressure or if it's a hoax. I mean, it's one or the other. It's either that's
I
strange. Yeah.
think I think that somebody was up for reelection or something, and they were very much pressured because it was 5 years or so, and nothing. It was just cold, and they needed a fall guy. And because he admitted, because Richard Allen, he was at the bridge that day, and he admitted to being there. And he came right away to the cops, said, hey, I was there for like this period of time. Would you do that if you did it? I don't know. But you know they knew he was there. And first of all, it's Indiana, everybody has that kind of look with the bridge guy. Like, they all dress like that, they all have the same facial hair. So he, as well as many of those other people that were listed in the memorandum, had that look. So I think that they were like, okay, here's our fall guy, he's been here all along, we're just gonna go with this. Which is sickening. And I mean, the stuff that they did to him in a prison, they sent him to prison right away, not jail. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm not big on conspiracies, but it just so happens that, these two recent cases,
Two.
Karen Reed and
They do
Delphi,
happen. Yeah.
they do.
They
And
do happen.
I
I look at
believe
well, yeah. Yeah. In Massachusetts, we had Whitey Bulger. That was like with the FBI. That was a conspiracy. So
good
I
old
mean, they
Hank knew
do
about that
exist.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hank defended that one or got involved. It's funny. Um, yeah, right. We should talk about Hank, but I'm going back to this Delphi thing. This Odinism. Is there like a
Yeah,
leader of it? Is there a defined leader that people know about? Is it like a
I don't
or not?
think so. I don't
Okay.
think so.
Yeah.
But they, like, I was on segments on this for Court TV, and they brought in people who were like, "Yeah, we're Odinists, and we don't do weird stuff. Like, there are Odinists that don't sacrifice animals and things like that." So I think it's whatever level they take it to, and maybe that's dependent on the mental state of that person or what they're interested in getting out of that. But I do know that a lot of correctional officers are Odinites for whatever reason. That's even here locally. I found that out. So there, I didn't know this was as big as thing as it is, which is interesting. So
Sure. There's a lot. I always think there's a lot of cults in America, just in general. I'm interested in them. I think
yeah,
they're scary. They can be, there's different levels of it, obviously, but a lot of them can be quite scary. Some of them
sure,
have leaders and some don't. Actually, it's funny too. It's sometimes it's like you said, the different sects. It doesn't mean that everybody is on the same level. It's
right,
sometimes it's just different spin-off sects and things like that.
yeah, exactly,
This has been wild, huh? We've talked a lot about missing people, Delphi, Karen Reed. Let's talk. We said Hank Brennan. What are
yeah.
your thoughts? Because you're a private investigator. I have a feeling that you probably read people a little bit, and
Hmm.
you've been watching them. What do you think about Hank Brennan, and how do you think he's going to do in this trial 2.0?
I don't think much of them. Tell you that much right now. I have a lot of friends who are defense attorneys, and I was lucky enough to meet them like 13, 12 years ago, working and doing some stuff for HLN and CNN. And they are, I don't know if like big name defense attorneys, whether they're in California or Georgia or New York. So for the most part, I have the utmost respect for defense attorneys, because of what they do. And I think he's dishonest. I think that he twisted every single bit of what he could in those hearings. And that rubs me the wrong way because, you're now on the other side and you're not the defense. Not that the defense always does that, but yes, there are cases where defense attorneys do twist some evidence to try to, but you are on the prosecution side. You were hired to prosecute this case and you are speaking for the people and you are giving misinformation to the people. You know, I think maybe you could have had enough respect for the court and for Karen and for this trial to maybe sit down and actually watch it instead of reading transcripts, because there's a big difference between watching it and reading a transcript. And you can tell that he didn't do any of that. Like, he just did the transcripts because he's getting so much information wrong, whether that's on purpose, whether that's because it slipped him. I don't know. But I don't think much of him. And the fact that he is also kind of tied to some people that Jen McCabe's friends with, and tied to the Krauskys. I don't, I don't, I don't have the highest regards for him. So, um, I hope he keeps it ethical when the jury is in the box, because that's, I think a lot of what he did in the hearings was for show, was for the cameras, and whatever. But I hope that he can keep it ethical at least, for the jury, because, this is not a game. This is someone's life. And, I just find it morally bankrupt, to be honest, what he's done. So,
Observations, especially too about is he going to do it for the jury? Because he's
yeah,
already done that. I mean, I think, like you said, he's projecting to the jury sitting at home right now, but eventually they'll be in that box. He's
yes,
going to get away with the same stuff. I bet he will too. This
yeah,
judge has a
yeah,
double standard.
yep, absolutely. And that's what scares me. But I think if we get the right jurors on there, they'll see through it and then just hammering points home. I mean, this is such a winnable case. Like, she should have been, acquitted on basically they didn't prove it, and then also she didn't do it. So like there was so many in the investigation. There were so many ways that they could have, sent her home, and ended this. But I don't know, maybe bigger things will come out in this trial,
That's what
that
I
will
hope. I mean, that's
be a
why
silver
I
lining.
the part why I want a trial. It's like how much more will we find out?
Yeah. And have they, I don't, well, it's not even if they've have done this in other cases, like I'm sure that they have. So maybe this will help someone else who was framed, someone else that was, wrongfully accused and had the evidence in their case tampered with or hidden, or, you know, maybe it will help someone else. That's the only thing I can hope for, because it's so terrible that Karen is having to go through this again, and then her family having to go through it, and it just it's horrible, and it makes me very upset. So, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe, something good will come out of the second trial for more people, um to
I
kind
think
of.
possibly, yeah, I think possibly that already happened too in some respects because or is in process of happening. Like if you look at Sandra Birchmore, I think
Yes,
that like what happened with Sandra Birchmore was definitely helped by Karen Reed. That case, I think that
yes,
it brought so much more attention to it, and got the feds involved. And also, like in Kent right now, they're doing a police audit, and the results are supposedly
yes,
coming out in the first week of April. Who knows what that could reveal? So I think that like
yes,
there could be many different ways this happens, and especially if Karen is found innocent, I have a feeling I just if I don't know, I don't talk to Karen like that. When we talk, like a couple times it was like about music and things like that. So I don't know what she wants to do, what her future is, but I just have a feeling that she might be like, like the number one advocate for people who are wrongfully convicted. I can just see her doing that type of work. So
And
yeah, it
what an
always booming
advocate
around
she'd be.
around. Yeah, wouldn't she?
Yes. Yes. She's an amazing woman. Um, Tough as nails. I've never met her, but she is tough as nails, and I love that. That's amazing.
She sure
I'm
is.
very, very interested to see the audit and what comes out of that. Very interested.
Well, the first week in April too. It's funny, like when the Karen Reed case is going on, it's
Yeah.
coming out, and the same thing. They're having an election that week too in Canton. It's weird how it all works out. It's like I don't know if there'll be enough time to help the election. We'll see. It's probably a couple days. Like it's going to be wild to see how if anything does come out of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I'll be watching because I want to know.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's another question that I missed earlier that came in
Mhm.
on the super chats. I want to post that up from Angie. She said, "Why is John O'Keefe's family not furious with how the police have handled this case here in North Carolina? When a law enforcement is killed, a huge investigation is done."
Yes, well said, Angie. I mean, that is something I don't understand. I think they had a choice to blame Karen, who sounds like Peggy didn't already like very much, and then they had a choice to blame these cops who, you know, and they chose Karen. But I agree. I don't know how anybody sitting through that trial or sitting through Trooper Paul's testimony could have still thought that this investigation was done properly, thoroughly, because police should go above and beyond, and they do when their brother in blue is killed. Except that they chose a different brother in blue over the one that was on the lawn, and that was Albert, and Higgins. So, I just they made a choice that night, and they continued it on, and they basically said, "Okay, we'll just sweep you under the run, John." And you can tell it, like in court, they hardly the Commonwealth hardly refers to him as Officer John O'Keefe, and he is an officer. He was an officer, and I'm so sorry, but if anyone deserves to be called an officer, it's him. It's the victim, not the proctor. You know what I mean? So that irritates me. I think that should be made an issue, like correcting. If they don't call him officer, I get irritated because I'm like, no, no, no. He had a
Well,
title.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, how about when they call him the guy in this? The guy. Tell him the
yeah.
guy didn't come in the house.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're going to be hard pressed to find a good friend who refers to her good friend as a guy in the lawn when he's dying right there in front of her.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that she's good friends with John. That statement in itself speaks volumes. So, get out of here with that, Jen. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
her and her husband. Her and her husband. That's how they refer to John.
Yeah.
That
That's
that's
it.
distancing language. That's yeah.
Yes. Yes, very good. It is. I do some statement analysis stuff, and that stuff I love to take classes on, and body language and all that stuff. And yes, very distancing behavior, and there would be no reason to distance yourself from him if he was your friend and nothing happened, right? So,
I want to
yeah.
get back to that in a second, maybe to close out the show, the body language stuff. But I gotta acknowledge
Yeah.
Mazza Media when he's got a great show as well. He's
Massa!
a regular frequent contributor to the show. We have stickers with him here. He
Love
won an award
Mazza.
from us. Mazza and Better Roll, the 3Ms. He's in the chat tonight. I'm glad he's feeling better. He missed the show the other night that we were supposed to have him on. We got to have him back up here very soon, Mazza. I'm Jones on Mazza on the Young Jerks. I think other people are too. Maybe with you, would you come back on the show and
I would
we'll
love
do
to
like
come
some
back.
panel show? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
maybe with Mazza. Mazza's watching tonight. I'm glad he's feeling better. I think we might be doing a show with Mazza and Brian from LTL on LTL's channel next week, actually. So we'll give you some there. I'm looking forward. Some people say they got their stickers. I'm glad you got your stickers in the mail. If you want some stickers, just send me your mailing address. If you contributed to Turtle Boy or Karen Reed Defense Fund, I'm still doing it. I got a couple today, so if you just heard it on replay, I know a lot of people don't catch it till a day or two later. You can still get the stickers. We still have stickers for you. But glad Mazza's feeling better and he's in the chat tonight. So let me ask you about that. The body language.
Yeah.
What do you think like about some of the body language in terms of the witnesses you saw on the stand? You watched the trial. Whose body language stood out the most? Like in terms of being maybe deceptive or shady or not sure of themselves or whatever you saw from them.
I think Higgins and Albert. Jen was just pissed, like disgust coming from her face. But even if you just did like statement analysis where you just hear and listen to their words, like they get flustered, and when you get flustered, and they start saying things that don't really make sense and sentences here and there, and they're just kind of like, huh? Like, couldn't you just said that like a really easy way to say it, but yet you took the street and you came around and you did it just to get here. That is usually because they're lying. And so there was tons of that. There's an amazing body language expert, Janine Driver. She's also on Court TV. She is very much free Karen Reed as well. Shout out to her, she's great. And so I've taken some of her classes, and she's just an expert. She's worked for, like, I don't even know, law enforcement, FBI. I don't know. I would be doing it disjustice to not know exactly what to work for, but it's a huge list. She travels now doing seminars on it, and she's just incredible. She's there's other body language experts, and I respect all of them, but the stuff that she says, you retain it because of how she explains it to you. And so yeah, I believe in it 100%. And like, listen, law enforcement does it, CIA, FBI, like Homeland Security, all this stuff. And in fact, interesting, somehow it ties back to this case, but she was on Court TV talking about, oh, Karen Reed, I believe, and how she thinks she was telling the truth and she believes that she's innocent. And Krowski was on the next segment, and Krowski said some fighting words to her, just kind of
Man,
basically tearing her down, and just discrediting body language and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. So I tweeted at him, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but I pretty much schooled him and was like, oh, okay, you don't believe in body language, I see. Huh, it's interesting that every law enforcement agency in the country does, and they take trainings on it, and our Homeland Security, our CIA, our FBI, all do body language training and believe in all of that stuff. That's interesting. And then he came back with, I'm open to it. Like, okay.
do it. I'm open to okay, dude.
But
Okay,
I was
Joe.
like, yeah, I'm like, you're not gonna discredit, no, no, no. So, but yeah, she's great. So I've taken some of her classes, and that's something that I am always, like, in the missing persons cases that are on the news, I'm listening to if their story is like coherent, and falls into a certain like smooth category of, or they're just bringing out random things that have nothing to do with the story. Um, so yeah, I love that kind of stuff. That's something I always want to learn more about and participate in if I can. So
Body language, I think is so revealing. I think that people in sales use it too,
yes,
to see if your buyer is receptive, if they're paying attention, if they're interested, what kind of things interest them actually. Because I think it's so obvious for law enforcement to use it because it's this one thing where people generally don't have control of their body
yeah,
like that. They're not aware of it. They're not aware they're doing these things. And it's like they could sit there, they are aware of their words, so they can control their words and lie, but the body is basically saying something else. law enforcement's going to pick up on that. And I
Yeah.
think it's obvious that it's used. Like everybody uses it. I mean, I think every single human being uses it on a daily level anytime they encounter someone. We all make these little we make judgments. We make judgments
Yes.
on people based on things like body language. If someone's
Yes.
very confident or very friendly and nice, we treat them differently than someone who has the body language of someone who's angry or lying or paranoid or scared. You know what I mean? Like this is
Exactly.
universal. So
Yeah.
it's funny that such a trained lawyer, he
Oh,
if he's actually done, I don't know what kind of lawyer he really is, but if he's any type of trial lawyer, I think he would probably know something about body language
you
because
would
I think these
think.
guys, yeah, have to present. I mean, you got to have some good body language to present, right?
Yeah, and it was the second time he did that to her. So I was like, you know what? No, I'm tweeting him. Like, no. Yeah, he
Katie,
should know better. He should know better.
Katie. I don't like to go after lawyers because they could come around and sue you. But it's kind of
Well,
shady, Joe. Kind of
I
shady.
mean, yeah, I mean, all I was saying was, facts of what law enforcement and all these other, huge departments use body language for. Like, it is a real science. It is so yeah. But yeah, that's funny. But
As Glemma Sue says, I've
oh,
used body language
awesome.
to bluff. Then
Yeah,
I'm good at. I
she
see. I'm
she's
not a good actor, but that's like Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let us through. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. The stormtrooper just lets him go through. Like,
Glamma must be good at it because she's twisting it and making it like in her in her benefit. I like it.
yeah. I think there's some truth to that. You could kind of blend
Yeah,
in if you have the right body language, but most
yeah,
people aren't trained like that. Most people
true.
aren't cool as a cucumber.
Very true. But yes, Brian Higgins and Albert to me came, especially so when you're a law enforcement agent, you also get um, training for courtroom testimony. So I
Oh,
thought for them to have, extensive training for the courtroom testimony and to look the way that they did really spoke to, what was going on. So
you think they talk about body language in that courtroom testimony, class? I have a feeling they'd say,
I think
"Make
so.
sure
I
your
think they
body
do.
is confident and looks truthful," right?
Because we had courtroom testimony section in the stuff we learned. So, and I know that law enforcement does as well. Like they have to. So yeah, they looked not cool as cucumber.
I guess Joe must have missed that kinda training. I don't know.
Yeah, he wasn't present in that day.
Joe Krosky. Maybe we need lawyers to take more tests besides the bar. Maybe they need to take some other tests. They need to how many you've passed a few exams. I wonder maybe we should make lawyers. How many exams have you passed now in terms of certifications for your
Oh
private
gosh.
investigation?
Um, firearms probably five different ones.
You got 5.
Um,
So we should make Joe take 4 more tight test exams. He only took 1, passing the bar, I guess. We need 4 more for him.
how about just a test to be like, not angry all the time, just be nice. Like
Yeah.
that would be a good one.
That would
Why
be
are
a
you
good
so
one.
angry?
No, real I
Like
love that one. I love you. Yeah, that we gotta put that on you gotta put that on a t-shirt. Why are you so angry? That's the
uh
Turtle Boy, I feel like Turtle Boy might say that too. Why are you so angry?
yeah, I
Is
mean,
that one of his phrases?
I don't know. I don't think
Yeah, that's
so.
your phrase. You came up there. Why are you so angry? It's so perfect. It's so true. Why are you so angry? Like that
Yeah.
is like a common theme with all these people.
Yeah, like really why? You can have your
I mean, we
opinion,
know
cool.
why. We know why in Joe's case because he's connected.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
he's connected with these people.
Yeah.
I
Which
mean, at least he's not hiding it like other people.
I don't know though. I don't think Court TV knows that he's connected.
I mean, he's connected as far as he was the attorney for Colin.
Oh, for Colin, yeah. But he also said out of the greatness and generosity of his heart, because he knew this kid was innocent, he took the case. But it's like you took the case because you're related to them. So like it's a little different. But yeah. I don't know.
I know there was something going on there, but I didn't know he was related. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Apparently, like his girlfriend or something. Maybe the chat knows it. It was something that Turtle Boy put up that he had receipts for it. I think it might be his girlfriend is related to, or is a cousin of the McAlberts, and like they go camping together. He had like pictures and stuff. Maybe the chat can help me out. But yeah, there was some connection there, and I was like, oh, this is why he is so pissed off and angry. Like it's
This is
because
usually
there's,
that way with all these people. It's so funny.
yeah,
Why are you
yeah,
so angry?
yeah.
I love that one. Why are you so angry, bro?
Like even his face is like so angry. Like why? Smile. It's all right. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. You want to have some ice cream later,
Yeah.
Joe? Come on. Come on. How can we
Yeah.
make Joe smile? I think that's what
Yeah.
we need to do. How can we make Joe smile? Come on, Joe, smile. Why are you so angry? I love it. This has been fun. I'm so glad you came
So
on tonight,
fun.
Lauren.
Thank you
Lauren
for having me.
Vellucci, also known as Loren Katie on X and Twitter. It's also Common Sense Investigator on YouTube and TikTok. Make sure you follow those. We put the links in the chat. It's pinned to the top right now on the YouTube. I want to thank our moderators. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being
Thank
here, and
you.
looking forward to having you back again.
Thank
And
you so much,
before I let
Mike.
you go, is there any final thing you want to say or share, or anything you didn't get out tonight?
Free Karen Read. That's it. Donate if you can. And free Turtle Boy. So that's it. Thank you guys. It was a pleasure being on with all of you. Thank you, Mike, for having me. And I will
Thank you
talk to
for
you
being
later.
here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. That was a perfect ending. I love that. Free Turtle Boy, free Karen Reed. You're absolutely perfect. I can't wait to have you back
Aw.
on, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Mike. That means a lot. Thank you. We'll talk
Have,
soon.
yeah, definitely. Have a great night.
You
Oh, I meant to cut her off there. Sorry. Sometimes I hit the thing too quickly. I'm sorry, Lauren. You are phenomenal. Bye, Lauren. Yes, a chat they liked. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. All the super chats. We get another super chat on the way out here. Let's see. Hank's magic back wand. Does metadata needs to be in must be in any case where in the world of AI, doctoring videos and photos has been possible for many years. I know, right? We do need that metadata. I should have actually asked her about that tonight too. But I think we've hammered the metadata quite a bit here. I think people know all about the metadata at this point, except Judge Bev. Obviously, she still doesn't get the what's going on. Crazy. I want to thank Sarah in Shakahara, who's having her birthday week. Thank you so much for being a moderator here. I want to thank Stephanie, who I saw tonight. She's right there. Thank you so much, Stephanie. She's the one who designed the young, not the young jelly, the 3Ms, 3M stickers, a variety of them. She printed up the first batch actually too, on her own dime. She's amazing. A mom. I want to thank Stephanie, one of our moderators. We have the best moderating crew around. I also want to thank MJ, who's another great moderator that we have. And Jen O, she's on her game too. She it's funny how all four of them, and even Scott McGinnis, the one dude, they all have their little roles with us. They all provide for the collective in different ways. They all have their different strengths. And I love them all. I just gotta say, I talk about them a lot. Even my girlfriend here is I don't share a lot about what I do with my girlfriend because I know she'll say me stop talking about your stuff too much. We kill each other. I love my girlfriend, but I talk a lot to her about how much I love my mods. I really do. Yeah, we're killing it. We are killing it this week, Stephanie. You're a part of it. We have been killing it. Thank you to our moderators. That's I love them. It keeps me going too. They get excited. I get to share with them what's going on, what we're booking. We just love our crew. I love our guest. This is a great guest tonight. Make sure you follow her. She was fun. She's so on point. She knows her stuff. I love it. I'm so excited we did a one-on-one this time because next time I'm gonna bring her on some panels. Maybe it was Mazza Media and some other friends like LTL. I think she's gonna be phenomenal on the panel. So I'm really looking forward to bringing on Loren Katie again. She was great tonight. Last night again, Andrea Burkhart was just phenomenal. I'm so happy that happened. And the night before with Auntie Deb and LTL and Nurse Kim. I love Nurse Kim. Nurse Kim is the best. And Boozy Beauty and Kelly Reed. I mean, that was just. And then we raised $5,000 for Karen Reed and a lot of money for Turtle Boy as well. I'm loving it. I really am. That's why I go every night, even though I'm tired and I'm working two gigs full time. Too much, but I can handle it. That's why I love to do it. My body may be tired, but my mind and my heart is ready to go, and that's what I'm on right now. I'm probably gonna take off tomorrow night. I think. Who knows? I could come back. I always say that I'm gonna take a night off and then I come back, but probably I'm thinking Sunday. It could even be an early show. I don't know. Like I could end up doing like even tomorrow morning, like Saturday, like noonish, or I could do Sunday night. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. So just check your subs. I definitely want to do something about the Canton debate. I want to go over that. So that's either probably Saturday morning, like in terms of I say morning, like noonish, maybe 1 p.m. Or Sunday night. So one or the other. I'm going to take one night off. Not sure if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday, but just make sure you're subscribing, you're checking in, check the notifications because we do shows a lot. And definitely doing a show on Monday night with that lawyer, Jim. It's going to be fun. He's going to be good. Monday night. Be here, 6 p.m. Tuesday night, I think I believe that's the Mass State Auditor Diana DeZoglio back on the show. So we have a lot upcoming. There's more Karen stuff happening in court. And I'm gonna have much more to announce later next week. There's gonna be many more guests on the show. This last week was phenomenal. I want to thank you all for watching and supporting what we do. And if you're expecting stickers, look for them. I mailed a bunch of them out in the mail yesterday and today. And if you don't get them, just hit me back again and say, "Hey, Mike, didn't get delivered." That's my biggest fear. I send out hundreds of them, and then I worry if one or two don't get there, and people think I failed them. If you happen not to get the stickers in like a week, hit me back. The petty paralegal sent $20. She said, "More Steven, please. More Steven. Who's Steven? I'm trying to think. Which I feel like I'm missing someone. More Steven. Hmm. Steve Austin? Who's Steven? One of my friends growing up was a Steven. I'm like, who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing. Oh, Stephanie. Steven is Stephanie? Stefan is Stephanie. Are you talking about more? Oh, well, you want me to talk about Stephanie more on our show? I'm confused now. That's fine. Yeah. Jenna's laughing. Get the taillight guy on your show. Who's the taillight guy? I don't know who that is. Who? Oh, the guy that smashed the taillight? That's a good idea. How do we get in touch? Because I've just seen other people posting it. I don't even know where he is. What's his name? Who is he? You gotta fill me in. Send me a message. I'm interested in that guy, actually. That's a good point. Maybe I'll look into it more. Somebody send me the links on that. I think I saw a recut on it. EN Trouble 31. I'll have to check it out. Someone send me, please, everyone. For once, I'm going to ask you, all send me a direct message with that guy's info. I'd be interested in looking at it. Like, send me his YouTube link, please. Oh, so you're Steven. Oh, it sounds like someone likes Stephanie a lot, which is, I can understand. You should, all of our mods. If you don't like our mods, there's something not right with you. We have the best mods. Even the dude, even Scott McGinnis, even the dude. Sometimes you got to be careful with the dude. Sometimes, nope. Even the one dude is great, and all the ladies that we have, amazing moderators. And look, they're still posting links. All right, they're posting links for me to check out. I'm not gonna see it though unless send me a message, Jen. Send me a direct, because I'm gonna as soon as I shut this off, I'm not gonna unless I'm on my other computer. Not yeah. I got a lot of problems over here. I gotta go. Have a great night, everyone. Actually, let me check. I'm just gonna check. I don't think there's any Venmos. I didn't see anything. I just want to make sure. We haven't done. We really haven't been killing it on the Venmos as much anymore. I think people like to do the YouTube, which is fine. I don't want to miss if someone sends something and I don't read it. Like the other night when Jimmy did all that stuff when he was doing the hair when he did the little jelly. I lost my shit. I was like, "This is crazy." I did not expect him to do that. That was just and then when you got they were kinda going after LTL about taking the shirt off, and then we raised the 5,000. I was like, "I gotta do it." So I took the shirt. I wasn't expecting any of that. And then I forgot to read everybody's super chats. I felt like a and even like some big donations came in. There were like a couple $500 donations for Karen that night that came in. I never even read them because I was so that show just it wilded me out. Like that was I had so much fun, but I was like, I gotta end the show. I just ended it. Like I was supposed to play. Remember LTL wanted me to play the Morrissey video. I should have played it. I did. Sometimes that's this show gets to me. It does. I just Alexi Sina sent $5. She said, Andrea Burkhart video. I liked it. Thank you so much, Alexi. I wonder. Oh, I'm not even that's the last name. Oh my god, I probably shouldn't have said that last name, but I saw that last name. That's another thing he got me on. I'm not even gonna say it tonight. I'm not gonna say it. You know who I know. I wonder if that's a relative. I don't know if you know who. You can't see me. Yeah, coming up right now, I think it's Auntie Deb and LTL. We're redirecting. Let's go watch that. Everybody, tell them the Jerks raid is here. Little Jelly is we're getting some revenge. This is we're calling war against little Jelly tonight. This is payback. Let's go check him out. Let's razz him. Let's razz Little Jelly tonight in his own chat. I was flustered. I want to fluster Little Jelly tonight. Let's soften him up tonight. So I want to see LTL work over Little Jelly tonight. All right, I'm out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Let's go check out Auntie Deb with LTL tonight. I'll see you over there. And I'll see you, I think, either maybe tomorrow afternoon or Sunday night. We're gonna go over Canton. What's going on with that Canton Select Board? Make sure you subscribe and like if you haven't. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Young Jerks Invasion coming over. That's